Hi. How are you guys today? By you guys, I mean all of you people watching this now and in the future. So it is Wednesday at 1 p.m. CST, and it is, hi, Carrie. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. I can't even really see you on Facebook, but yay. I am a little bit late at 1 o'clock. It's so funny. So the house is like quiet. The kids are at the fair today in Lloyd with their granny and their cousins, and so they're so excited, so they're gone. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have the house to myself. It's gonna be amazing. And then just as I was about to get started setting up the live, Travis came in for lunch. So cool. And so then I had to, say hi to him and be like, I'm doing my coffee video now, and move to our bedroom so he could have his lunch and not, be a distraction for me. So you are in my bedroom. You are in bed with me because I am in my bed, cozy and with my coffee and like my favorite cup. So the cup, it actually changes colors with the temperature. So as my coffee runs out, then like the light blue. Oh, and there's like, I should show you the other side of the cup too. There's like northern lights on it. And as it cools off, and the coffee runs out, it changes to like a dark color. It's really funny. I don't know what that face means, Carrie. Is that like a pukey face or a funny face? Anyway, yay! Somebody else just joined. Tell me who you are in the comments. I would love to say hi to you. So that's just my little story about why I'm late. And I wanted to talk about death and dying today. And what if death is really just a transformation? And that has been my experience with it. That is actually what I believe. Oh, it's a we in your bedroom face. Yeah, you are in my bedroom. So, pre before really started, I mean, okay, where do I want to start with this? So, before I started playing, my point of view of death was that it was an ending, that it was just done and you died and it was over. So I guess I really viewed death as an end, and that was it, and it was done, and you were over. And I never really looked at it a lot. Like, I guess, I did lose, like, my grandpa died when I was in university, and he's probably one of the first people that was close to me in my life that I lost. Hi, Rhonda. How are you? And so that would have been like in 2004. And so I guess with my grandpa dying, I actually knew then that he wasn't gone, in quotation marks. His body was gone, yes, because so what experience I had with him. So my grandpa and I were very close together. And when I was a little girl, I've been in love with my horses my whole life, but I didn't always have horses in my life until I got to be a teenager, really. But before then, my grandpa would always take me to see my auntie's horses. And so I have clear memories of going to visit grandma and grandpa when I'm like 3 and 4 years old. And my grandpa operated a cat. He did many things, but at the end, I remember him being a cat operator. And so he would come in from work at supper time, and he would be all dirty and tired and black. And I would be there, and I would be so full of life and so excited to see him. And I would run and give him a hug. And I remember always asking him, Grandpa, can we go see the horses? Grandpa, can you take me to the horses? And I'd be jumping up and down. And he never, ever seemed annoyed with me for that. Like, he was probably tired and he had a long day, but for him, he was so happy to have me. And he would always say, Yes, Catherine, yes, we will go see the horses. And I would wait until he was done his supper. or whenever, and he had a coffee or something, and we would go see the horses. And that was my grandpa thing. He would always do that for me. And then, older, I would hang out there more and whatever. And when I had my own horses, we didn't really have that anymore, but um we always were just close. And he actually got pancreatic cancer when I was in university. And I was at the U of S, and he was actually there getting treatment. And so my first year of university, I would always go see him every day. Like even if it was just sitting with him in his room, we would talk and visit, and I would just do my homework or read my books or just be there with him. And so 2001, so that was 2002. So then he came home like December of 2002, and he actually died about a month after he came home. And I never, after he died, one thing that really bothered me was that I never actually told him that I loved him, because he was, this strong man, um and I had to be strong to be with him. That's really funny, but um so he died, and I was kind of upset because I'm like, "Oh, man, I never told him with words how much I loved him or how much he meant to me. I just missed it, and it kind of bothered me, and it weighed heavy on me. And we had his funeral. I was home, and then I went back to university, and one night I had a dream about him. And I know that it was more than just a dream. I know that I was in a semi-sleep state, so I was, not busied by my day, but it was at nighttime, and I clearly remember seeing him um, in my room, and he was bright, and he was grandpa with was alive, and he came and he held my hand, or he touched my head or something like that. And he just said, "Catherine, I know how much you love me. I know, I already know, and I want you to know that I love you too." And he thanked me. And I just remember this sense of peace, having peace after that with it. Like it was so peaceful. And I was at ease with it, and it didn't bother me anymore. And it was such a gift. And so then I knew that death wasn't, that he wasn't gone. I knew that he was with me all the time. And so I would actually talk to him a lot, and I would say hi to him. And anytime that I needed help with something, so traveling back and forth from university, I was often driving my car in snowstorms and in bad weather. And I would say, "Hi, Grandpa," and I would ask him to help me make it safely. Like, that was my words. Whatever. I usually just said them in my head, and I always did. Like I never hit the ditch, never had any accidents. One time my mom and I did hit the ditch, but help came along right away. Like it was really funny. Um, but yeah, and so yeah, and then when my father-in-law passed away and my grandma died shortly after, I was really just kind of shocked, and that's when I started looking for something different, and that's when I found Access. And I found Access because I had a medium reading with Glenise Hughes about my father-in-law and my grandma, and that was really, again, so much closer and so amazing. And yeah, so I guess I always knew then that death isn't an end, that it is a transformation. And yes, you can tragically lose people in your life, but what if you can still connect with them and their energy? And so this one is actually about our kitty, Miss Kitty. We actually had to put her down last week. So I tried to do my coffee chat on Wednesday last week, and Facebook was being really weird, and it didn't work. And I was gonna do it, and then I got busy with the horse show thing, and I didn't do it. So anyway, so last week on Tuesday, we actually put Miss Kitty down. So Miss Kitty was our house cat for 3 years, and her and Trace, my son, he's 9, and they had a real special bond together. Actually, Miss Kitty always preferred to sleep with him. She was always with him. Her and Trace were just like meant for each other. Helena, she actually did sleep with Helena once in a while, but she really preferred Trace. Trace was really her person. And so Miss Kitty, so okay, so pets and dying. So with access and some of the tools, I knew that there was another possibility with death, that their energy is still there, but I didn't actually know that with pets, you could actually ask them to come back to you when they're ready, or and they can come back in another pet body, which is really cool. And there's actually kind of a movie about that right now, A Dog's Life, I think it's called, or something like that, about the dog who always comes back, and a different dog, but to the same family or something. But so our dog Jake, we got him in 2006. He was a puppy, and he got really sick with parvo when we first got him. We didn't actually know what that was. We were like new pet owners, but all of a sudden our dog is sick and he couldn't keep water down. He was puking it up and you could just tell. So right away we took him to the vet, and they first look at him was like, "Oh no, he's a parvo puppy." And we're like, "Oh my God, what does that mean?" And so they told us about it, and they prepared us, and they said most puppies actually die from this because it's a virus and they can't keep any food or water down, and they get too weak and they die before the virus has run its course. So we were lucky though, because Jake was a large breed dog. He was a Pyrenees Malamute cross. And so I took him home. I gave him IV fluids myself, like all the time, and fed him eggs and yogurt to try to keep up his strength, whatever he could eat. And he survived. And it was great. And then he was our baby. And so we had him for 10 years. And in 2016, shortly after we moved from our farm in Turtleford back to St. Walburg, he was 10 and he was getting arthritic and just really sore. And it was time for him to transition. I knew that. Um, and so that was like the end of July 2016. And we got Miss Kitty the beginning of July 2016, like a few weeks after we moved here. We got Miss Kitty because I was aware that Jake was going to be going. We were going to have to be putting him down, and I wanted to have another pet around just because I love them and for the kids and a transition thing. So Miss Kitty comes along July 2016, our first ever house cat. Well, not really first ever, but we hadn't had one for a while. And then we had to put Jake down at the end of that month. And I told Jake, I asked him to come back to us. And I was like, "What kind of body would you like to come back in?" And I would talk to him. And even after we put him down, I talked to him a lot, and I would feel his, fuzzy fur, like when I was hugging him, and it was really cool. And I knew that it was something that we had to be ready for him to come when he ready for him to come back, or ready for another dog again. And I asked him to show us what kind of dog he would like to be and how this was all like, just be really clear, Jake. And we actually met a giant Alaskan Malamute called King up at our cabin at Buffalo Narrows. A fellow up there bought this dog, and we met the dog, and the dog was beautiful and big and magnificent, and he was amazing. And we were like, "Where did you get him from?" And about him, and right away he caught our attention. And so the fellow said, "Well, I got him from this lady in Washington. She breeds giant Alaskan Malamutes." And so cool. So I looked up the lady, phoned her, asked her some questions, and we weren't really ready yet. And then we were ready. And so last spring, um, the spring of 2018, we put a deposit down for a puppy. And so she would then phone us when she had puppies ready to go. And so then we basically have to try to get down there within a week after she calls us to pick up the puppy or make arrangements or whatever. And so she phoned us a couple times in the summer, and it was like we really couldn't make it. Like we had stuff going on, spraying, whatever. It just wasn't good timing. And then I said to Jake, I'm like, "If you want to come to us as one of these puppies, like you have to be like, how can you make this easy for us to get you and be really loud to know which one you are?" And so it was the end of October of 2018, and we literally had one day of harvest left. And then I was taking a foundation class, and she phoned us and she was like, I have a puppy for you. It's a red female. She's ready to go. She's the pick of the litter. She's magnificent. And I'm like, this is the one. And so I said to Travis, I think this is the one. And so, okay, we made whatever we had to do. We made it. We drove down to Washington. It was still not winter weather driving yet, so it was still good for that. And we made it home. It was like marathon trip. I think we were gone. Like we literally drove there and came back, and we stayed over 2 nights. Um, and Reba, that's when we got Reba, who is, I get that she's Jake, but a little bit different with some Reba in her. And the puppy, like Reba, just fit right into our family right away. It was like she came home and she knew who we were, and she knew that this was her place. And it was so cool. So cool. And it was just such a gift. And I just knew that it was Jake. And and then and so Miss Kitty wasn't too sure about Reba to begin with, and Miss Kitty, and then about a month ago, Miss Kitty started getting a little bit chubbier. She's always been a slightly chunky kitty. Um, but she started getting more, her belly started getting bigger. And I was aware that something was going on with her. And but I would ask her if she needed to go to the vet or if she needed anything, and she would always tell me no. No, I'm not going to the vet. No, I'm fine. No, we're good. And so, okay, cool. And she was still fairly normal. Like her temperament was the same. She wasn't being weird about anything. She didn't seem like she was in any pain. Um, and then about a week, so Tuesday last week we put her down. So the Friday before that, I just knew that something was seriously like we needed to take her to the vet now. Even if you're telling me no, you're going. So I phoned and made her an appointment for like the Wednesday was kind of the earliest that they would see her because it didn't really seem to be an emergency then. And so, okay, cool. So anyway, what was happening was it looked like she had a football inside of her tummy and it was hard. And I'm like, and she just, yeah. So I told the vets about it and they're like, well, it could just be really bad worms. It could be, these other things. We'll take a look at her and we'll see. And so that was Friday. Then we went away. It was a long weekend. We went up to our cabin. So I had my nieces coming to look after the ducks and Miss Kitty. And I let them know that Miss Kitty wasn't doing so well. So if anything happened when we were gone, if she happened to pass away, it was okay. It wasn't their fault. It's not like they did anything wrong. And so, okay, cool. So we got back from the lake on Monday. And Miss Kitty hadn't gone in her litter box all weekend. She wasn't eating anything, so something was serious. And so Monday evening, we had the talk with Trace and Helena that Miss Kitty might be getting put down and she's not doing good and she's going to be like she's sick and we don't really know what's wrong with her. And so we had the tears and everybody had a cry and Trace slept with her. That was the last night. And I'm like, you can tell her that you love her and thank her for being so amazing with you. And you can ask her to come back in another kitty body. Whenever she's ready, we would love to have her back with us, with our family. And so Trace was really sad and he was upset, but he was like, okay, mom, I'll do that. And so he slept with her. And then Tuesday, um, we were just gonna, like, she's just a cat, right? But Travis was just gonna shoot her, which sounds really harsh. But anyway, but that just wasn't really sitting well with either of us. And he actually, I don't think he could. I think he tried or he thought about it more and he's like, no, well, and he actually said, I made her a vet appointment for Tuesday afternoon, so I'll take her in. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. So we all went into the vet clinic with her, and right away the vet felt her and said, well, I think this is all fluid actually, and I wouldn't be surprised if she has a heart condition causing her to retain fluid in her body, but we can confirm it with an x-ray. So I'm like, yeah, we'll do the x-ray, we'll get confirmation. and we will go from there. So they x-rayed her, and sure enough, that's exactly what it was. So he was really great. The vet was amazing. He took us and the kids into the x-ray room and showed us the x-ray and explained to us what was going on. He did say there was something that we could give her to dry up the fluid, but it wasn't going to correct the heart thing. So I just shook my head and said no, like we're ready to let her go. So we all went back to the room, and he sedated her and he let us have time with her. So we all, petted her and said goodbye and thanked her, and Trace was petting her lots, and it was really, really touching, actually. It was really great, as great as it could be. And then he came back and then he gave her the drugs to so she would die. So her heart would stop beating. And I really get that she was so grateful for us, for the life that she had the last 3 years, that we helped her in that way and that we actually helped her transition in a way that she was ready for. And and then we talked with the kids, like death isn't, like, she's still here. You can still talk to her, and she can come back in another cat body, and it's actually a gift for her because her body that she had wasn't healthy anymore. So she was probably not comfortable in it. And maybe she's been in pain for a long time. You know, and I actually, if I hadn't asked her, so I get that she was really, really ready to go. And if I had taken her to the vet when I was aware that she was starting to get sick, I probably would have tried to save her and I probably would have given her the medicine. And so, and that's not what she wanted. She knew and she was ready, and now she can come back in a little kitty body and be with her family in an even greater way for a longer time whenever she shows up. So I wonder how she will show up. And I wonder what so so it was cool experience for the kids again, so they could see that death isn't the end. It's a transformation. And it's actually a gift. What if death is actually a gift? Yes, it can be tragic sometimes. Um, when my father-in-law had a heart attack, I mean, that was really tragic for us. But then looking back, we could really see how he had slowed down a lot and how much pain he was actually in with his body, and how it was hard for him because he couldn't do the physical stuff that he could do before. And so it was really hard for him to be in a body that was limiting him. And so, yeah. So, anyway, so that's my coffee chat today: death and transformation. And what else is actually possible beyond what we could ever imagine. And so, thank you for watching this. Thank you for you. And I will see you guys later. Have an awesome rest of your day. Bye bye for now.